Hello. So I just finished watching And So It Goes, the Billy Joel documentary, all 5 hours of it. Um, Regarding the length, it was good that it was that long because it really tells the story of this man, this artist, this really major songwriter and performer, in the last half of the 20th century. Maybe one of the very finest songwriters that it produced. The documentary is very, very good. It actually serves, since he's in it a lot, he's interviewed a great deal, as well as other people who's been associated with ex-wives. His daughter Alexa, um, Christy Brinkley, of course. It actually it felt like very much like an autobiography in a way of this man and his life and how it all went. And in that, I thought it was just very, very successful. I didn't watch it all 5 hours in a row. I think I broke it up into four parts, which was more consumable for me. But we can do that with streaming media, can't we? We don't have to watch something straight through. We can go back to it, and when it's something like this, where the suspense is not particularly building. I knew he wasn't going to die in the end. At least he hasn't yet. So it's good to consume it that way if you want to. But I think it's really worthwhile watching. And as I said, it just shows what a masterful pop craftsman he was, and not a fake pop craftsman either. One that in the songs and in the lyrics are a real reality of our lives that lives on, and that's why the songs go on today. At the end, it talks about his whatever 10-year run of 100 shows, sold out shows at Madison Square Garden. Just recently, the past few years, and how the songs do. It's not. It's he hasn't written any pop songs in, I think, since the '90s, really. But he says, he had said what he wanted to say, and didn't want to be trapped in doing that anymore. But the songs that are there live on, and have a life, and can speak to the human condition, to things that all of us have been through, our loves and our disasters. Like he talks about. You may be right, I may be crazy. That one. You may be wrong, I may be right. Which has to do with a real situation where he was riding his motorcycle at night in the rain, as the song goes, and he ran into a car that went through a light or something, and went over the top, and injured his hand. And fortunately, he survived, but so that's what we're dealing with here with his work. Now, through the years, his eclectic kind of material, like he would do this type of song and then that type of song, and so he had a certain sort of vast quality that comes off as a chameleon work, and was criticized back in the day as being, sort of derivative, sort of using, copying other people's style and things like that. Well, all pop music is copying someone else's style. My brother didn't like Billy Joel. I don't know why. At the end, he still didn't like Billy Joel, and of course, he was a Brian Wilson fan. Enough about that. But he he was criticized, and it shows in the documentary his what, second wife. He had a relationship with some. He had a band. What was it called? In his very early band, one of his play, and he lived in the house with one of the band members and his wife, and ultimately the wife and he got involved, and so that was she became his wife, and she was his manager. And at some point, they talk about how he's delivering his second record, and they're going, well, it doesn't have any hits. It doesn't, it doesn't do, record company. And she said, well, you can release this one and release this one. And of course, they were both big hits. So he that's the thing about these acts and authenticity. That kind of chasing that kind of thing can often pigeonhole you into a certain style. Like, oh, you're like the Rolling Stones, or like, they're supposedly, very authentic, but they're just basically a rock and roll blues band with, more or less one kind of groove and track they're going down, and that's something that we can sell. That's something we can market. That's something that the business understands. Where they were slow to get on to what Billy Joel was all about, and what a real asset that he was to pop music. And so it does talk about his relationships. It talks about how two relationships were basically ended because of his alcoholism, drinking, because of his drinking habits, and how that chased a couple of relationships away. And well, I know what that is like myself, because I think I had a relationship end at least one because of my marijuana use, and I didn't. I've never been a drinker. I've been afraid of alcohol as it's just too powerful and too, well, deadly, really. So I understood that part too. How a relationship can end for sake of a particular substance that you enjoy or are compelled to use because of stresses or trauma in your life, that leads to that things. I don't think addiction comes from, I'm sort of the Gabor Mate school of thought these days, where addiction is not just something in itself in most cases, but is something that arises out of other issues in our lives, other traumas. And I know that's definitely the case with me. How I had trouble connecting with people, and how I sort of ran to that to help it glide through, and hope that would help me to stabilize and deal with my relationship, particularly the last one I was through, and how it ultimately just did not work. So yeah, So it goes, Billy Joel. It's on HBO Max, and if you have HBO Max or you want to try it, I very much recommend watching this program if you're at all interested in music. I don't think you even have to be particularly interested in Billy Joel or his music. It becomes just a very interesting biography, and in this case, very much an autobiography. So my recommendation is very high. I thought it was quite moving, actually, especially toward the end. And it's just a great piece. Thank you for watching.